Hello, hello, hello. Happy Friday. How are you guys doing today? It's my favorite video of the week to make. It is movie day. Welcome to Peter's Movie Club. I am having so much fun with this. So if you guys are new to this and you don't know what I'm talking about, several weeks ago, I started something called Peter's Movie Club. And it is a movie club where we all watch the same movie every week. I pick a movie. The movie is something that has some kind of meaning to me, either when I was growing up or sometime in the past. It has some significant meaning to me. And I pick a movie and then we all watch it together. All of the movies that I'm picking are on Tubi, which Tubi is a free streaming app that anybody can download, or you can watch on your computer or your tablet or anything like that. You don't even have to have an account to watch movies over there or TV shows. They have ads on there, which is how they pay for it. So not sponsored by Tubi, but that's the app that I'm using so that it's accessible to most people. Right now, Tubi is in the United States, Canada, Mexico, and it is coming to Europe very, very soon. So I tried to pick something where people could find it most places. Anyway, most of these movies that I'm picking, you can also stream other places as well, like Amazon Prime, Hulu, things like that. Many of the movies that I'm picking, you can also watch on YouTube. And in fact, one or two of the movies that I'm going to pick, we are going to watch on YouTube because that's the only place that you can find it because they're not streaming anywhere anymore. But I'm having so much fun with this. And, it's for me a way to kind of revisit movies that I watched in my past. And for a long time now, I've kept a list on my phone of like movies that I want to watch again that really meant something to me at one time or another. I would say I have like 2 or 3 movies that I can watch over and over and over and over again, not counting like Christmas shows, Christmas movies, Halloween shows, Halloween movies, things like that, but just movies, And it's interesting because with each of these movies that we've watched so far, when I got done with it, I was like, okay, I'm good if I don't ever watch this movie again in my life. I feel like I've fulfilled my need to watch this movie. So every week, I'm picking a movie over here, and I will kind of explain the significance of what that movie means to me. The last 2 weeks have been double features. Now, on Fridays, what I do is I review the last 2 movies that we've watched. Feel free to leave your review in the comment section below. I'm loving hearing what you guys have to say about the movies that we're watching, especially if you're watching it for the first time, I think. I really am enjoying hearing what you guys have to say. And it's interesting because a lot of people are like giving different perspectives. We watched Wait Until Dark, which was with Audrey Hepburn. And it was a movie that my mom loved when I was growing up, and it was a thriller. And it was so funny because several people commented, and they were like, yeah, I was like really expecting it to be more of a thriller, and it really wasn't. And even though it was still thrilling for me to watch, I also felt the same way. The movie is dated at this point. I think it came out in like 1967 or something like that. So it's very dated. So the thrillers of today, aren't comparable to the thrillers of yesterday. I still love Alfred Hitchcock movies. Alfred Hitchcock movies are some of the movies that I was raised on that I absolutely love, and I think they're very scary and thrilling to this day. Do I think that they're as thrilling as some of the thrillers that are coming out today? They're different. It's a different kind of thing. It's very much like, back in the day when you would see a movie and they would put "Do Not Disturb" on the bedroom door and close the door. It's like a lot's left up to the imagination. Today, not a lot is left up to the imagination when we watch movies, So the thrilling scenes and things like that are all included, when back in the day, a lot of it was like in your head. You had to kind of like come up with it. But anyway, so it's kind of fun to hear what you guys have to say, especially when they're films that you guys have never seen before. And I'm also loving when people are like, oh my God, I haven't watched this movie in like 20, 30 years, and thanks for reminding me of it, or, whatever. And there's a couple people out there that are like, somebody messaged me, and I think they also commented that they're watching it with their mom every week, whatever movie I pick. And a couple people have put it up on their Instagrams and direct message me and things like that they're watching the movie for a week, and I'm just loving that. So let's get into the review for last week's movies. The last 2 weeks have been double features both weeks. Today will not be a double feature, but the last 2 weeks have been double features. I'll explain to you why today is not going to be a double feature in just a second. I actually have not picked this week's movie yet, so it's going to be a live pick, okay? So I'm going to do it live on video. But let's go in and let's talk about the movies that I picked for this last week. So the movies that I picked for last week were Waiting to Exhale and How Stella Got Her Groove Back. And the combination of both of them was that Angela Bassett, who I absolutely love and adore, she was in both of those films. The reason why I picked those films was because Tubi has a section called Leaving Soon, and on their Leaving Soon section, they list all the movies that are going to be gone soon. I think Waiting to Exhale and Waiting to Exhale and How Stella Got Her Groove Back are leaving within like the next 3 or 4 days. Because I noticed when I was watching them this week that they had like a 6 next to them and then a 5, and then I think today they have 3 or 4 days left. So if you want to watch it and you're watching this video today, they're going to be gone in the next 3 or 4 days off of Tubi. So these movies for me came, I believe, around the time, like maybe before I got sober and like after I got sober, around the time I got sober. But I remember seeing these movies, and I remember seeing, I believe, both of them in the movie theater. Actually, I remember seeing Waiting to Exhale in the movie theater with a good friend of mine, and I shared the story. I shared the story in the last video that of several scenes that I can remember, like sitting in the movie theater and like women going crazy, and it was really fun to watch this movie in the movie theater. You know, I don't know what it was about Waiting to Exhale at the time that I saw it. At the time that I saw it, I had 3 really good friends of mine, and it was like the 4 of us, and we would like do everything together, and we were going through like breakups and life changes and stuff like that together. I must have seen it after I got sober, because that would have been when I was friends with all of them. I actually, let's look up and see when Waiting to Exhale came out. Hold on just a second. Wait, I think it came out like in 1995, which would have been after I got sober. Hold on just a second, because it came out in 1995, and I got sober in 1994, so it would have come out after I got sober. And so that was when I was friends with these like 4 guys, and I feel like, yeah, so that would have been like after that. And so you know, I think at that time I was going through a lot of life changes and on and on and on, and I think I really related to that movie because I had these friends and things like that. The movie hit differently this time watching it. I feel like I've had it on in the background a couple times in the last 20 or 30 years, but I don't really remember sitting down and watching it all the way through, like I did when I first saw it. So the other night, what is today, Friday? So last night I watched How Stella Got Her Groove Back. So Wednesday night, I sat outside and I watched Waiting to Exhale, and I had like a candle lit, was drinking coffee and stuff. I have to tell you, like, it hit a little bit different for me this time. I actually thought it was pretty slow. It like felt very, very slow. And a lot of the things that I remembered happening in the film, like, happened way late in the film. Like, I remember like Whitney Houston leaving this guy, and I thought it happened kind of early, where she throws water on him and she says, "The drink's on you." I mean, there's some fantastic scenes in this, but like that happened late in the movie. Layla Rashawn getting pregnant, I thought that happened at about the halfway mark, and that happened at the very, very end. So if you didn't watch the movie, it's about 4 women that are friends, and they live in Arizona, and they're going through troubles in relationships. Angela Bassett is going through a horrible divorce. Layla Rashawn is dating several men. Loretta Devine, who I absolutely adore, she's been single for a long time. She has a son that's like getting ready to graduate from high school, and she hasn't been in a relationship for a long time. And Angela Bassett and Whitney Houston is dating somebody, and she's like a very independent person, and she's dating somebody that's married. And so it's kind of the 4 of their stories, and their dependency on men, and they're coming out of that and being independent. And that's really what the movie is about, and them leaning on each other. It's a movie about sisterhood, and it's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. I actually wish, if I had remembered this, that I would have saved the movie for New Year's, because it's a New Year's movie, kind of. It starts and it ends on New Year's. Like, it starts on one New Year's and it goes through an entire year, and then it ends on the following New Year's. And I have to say, for me, the most significant part of it was the very end of the movie, when they're all sitting in the desert and they're counting down to the new year. I downloaded actually several songs from the movie that I forgot that I loved. There's some Shaka Khan on here, and there's some Brandy songs on here that I had forgotten how much I loved. I still love the movie. I don't know that I would ever watch it again, in all honesty. Like, I feel like I said, like, I feel fulfilled in having watched it again this time. It just was a little bit slower. Like, I feel like my memories of it are fonder than what I felt when I was watching it this time. And I mean, it's 2 hours long, and it feels like it's 2 hours long. Now, also, I think, you know, it's interesting, like, my mom used to say this about reading books. Like, when you read books at certain time, like, they hit you differently. Like, I can remember, like, being in high school and reading Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger, and then reading it when I was, like, 30. Like, it hits different, right? I feel like Waiting to Exhale at the time that I watched it hit me more significantly than it did today. And, in fact, it was interesting which storylines kind of hit me more. And I think based on my personal experience of what I went through, I still loved the movie, but it didn't have as much meaning to me this time watching it as it had in the past. I think my memory was fonder of it than actually watching it again, which is interesting because out of the two movies, and the reason why I picked two movies last week was because they were both like leaving soon, and so I wanted to make sure that I got to see these movies that I loved. The second movie was How Stella Got Her Groove Back, which I'm almost positive came out in well, I'm not even going to look it up. I think it came out in 1998 or 1999, because when I talked about it last week, it was like 2 or 3 years later that Angela Bassett starred in How Stella Got Her Groove Back. Okay, what's interesting about this is my memories of Waiting to Exhale are fonder than my memories of How Stella Got Her Groove Back, right? Which, at the time that How Stella Got Her Groove Back came out, was when I was going through a breakup. My first, like, breakup with my first ex after I got sober. And I do remember watching this movie, and I remember kind of relating to it and whatever. And if you didn't watch it, How Stella Got Her Groove Back is about Stella, who's played by Angela Bassett. Her best friend is Whoopi Goldberg, and who plays her best friend Dee, and she goes to Jamaica to just like for a vacation, and she meets this guy that's much younger than her. It's played by Taye Diggs, which, interestingly enough, I looked up Taye Diggs. This is where it's like surreal to me, right? Like, I looked up Taye Diggs to see what he's doing now, and he's older than me. Taye Diggs is 53 years old. I was like, Taye Diggs is older than me. Like, it felt, you know, it just feels surreal. And so, and she falls in love with this guy, and then her friend Dolores passes away, who's played by Whoopi Goldberg, and she passes away from cancer, and then it's kind of like her, and then she loses her job, and she's trying to figure out what she's going to do with the next part of her life, and then he comes here, and he moves in with her, and all this kind of stuff, and it's like, will their relationship work? It's really not even so much about that. It's really about How Stella Got Her Groove Back. It's really about this woman kind of finding herself again. Both movies are about women finding themselves again. What's interesting about this to me is that, unlike Waiting to Exhale, which I don't think until the very end did I even, like, I'm a big crier in movies, did I even shed a tear. How Stella Got Her Groove Back, like, I cried through the whole movie. Like, I found the movie, I don't know, there was something about it, like, certain scenes with her and Whoopi Goldberg just really, really touched me. And my friend Tanya and I have talked about, there's a scene, so when her friend dies, when Whoopi Goldberg dies, she gives this eulogy, and she says, who will be my best friend now? And, my friend Tanya and I have talked about that, like, many times, like, having to ever have to say that, what that would be like, you know? There's a scene in the movie when Whoopi Goldberg is in the hospital, and it's at the very, like, end of her life, and she has cancer, and she and Angela Bassett comes to the hospital room, and they're in there, and they're telling, like, old stories from, like, I'm gonna get teary-eyed just talking about this, but they're telling, like, old stories from their past, and Whoopi Goldberg is, like, joking about people that she knew, and she's, like, you know, gasping for breath and things like that. It is such a perfect scene in a movie. Like, if you could take just perfect scenes out of movies, it's such a perfect scene. It's one of the most fantastic scenes I've ever seen in a movie. If you haven't seen the movie, watch it just for that scene alone. It is literally the embodiment of friendship. It reminded me of me and my friend Tanya, me and so many of my other friends, and when we're looking back on our friendship and parties we went to and people that we knew. And for that, it was just such a fantastic movie. I found myself, like, ugly crying several times in this movie, which I didn't expect. In all honesty, I was more excited to watch Waiting to Exhale, and then when I watched How Stella Got Her Groove Back, I was like, oh my god, like, I really enjoyed this movie, and I actually think I would watch it again. I think I would watch it again. As I was watching it last night, I was like, I think my husband would like this movie. Like, I was kind of surprised. He's not watching most of these movies with me, but I actually think that he would like that movie. So maybe we'll watch it again, Alex and I. I have a list of movies that I want to like Stand By Me. My husband's never, I know, can you believe it? My husband's never seen Stand By Me. And I have movies that I, like, want my husband to see that, you know, like, are really, really meaningful to me. And he has a list that he wants me to see. So we kind of, like, try to, you know, watch each other's movies over time. It's kind that's a little trick you can do there in your relationship if you've never done that before. Keep a list of movies that you love and have them keep a list of movies that they love and then share those movies with each other. So, those are the movies from last week. Okay, now let's get to the movie for this week, all right? And the reason I'm just going to keep it one movie is because I personally am having a difficult time keeping up with two movies. And the reason I was doing it was to get through this leaving soon list. But here's the problem that I found this week, right? Every time I get through the week, they're adding more movies that are leaving soon. So like this week, I think I was down to like 2 or 4 movies. There's now like 7 or 8 movies that are on my leaving soon list, right? And so halfway through this week, I was like looking through the list and I was like, I'm going to have to... I feel like I'm going to have to just start picking movies that really have some kind of meaning to me. Instead of, I think I just picked the movie that I'm going to watch in my head. But I feel like I needed to start picking movies that really have some significant meaning to me instead of just movies that are leaving. I mean, all these movies, if they're on the list, they have some kind of meaning to me. But the ones that have more of a meaning to me, and if they leave, they leave. And if they don't, they don't. And there's other movies. I mean, I have like some 55 to 60 movies. I think 58 is what I said. And I've added more movies. So I probably have 60-some movies now. If some leave. And the other thing about Tubi is some of them leave and then they come back. So I think I picked my movie for the week, but let me go over here and look at my Friday night movies that I have. Okay, so the ones that are leaving soon, I have a blue heart next to. And I'm like looking through these and I'm like, yeah, I don't care if we watch that movie. I don't care. Okay, so there's like 4 on here. Well, there's one that I really, really want to see. And there's 3 more that are like second to that. So we're just going to go with the first one, okay? And the first one is a movie that my mom and I watched when I was a kid growing up. And it's with Rosalind Russell and Haley Mills. And the movie is The Trouble with Angels. It came out in 1966, and it is a comedy / it says religious. But it's not really religious. I mean, it is, but it isn't. Let me read you the synopsis for it. Mary, played by Haley Mills, and her new friend, Rachel, played by June Harding, are new students at St. Francis Academy, a boarding school run by the iron fist of Mother Superior, Rosalind Russell. The immature teens grow bored and begin playing pranks on both the unsuspecting nuns and their unpleasant classmates, becoming a constant thorn in Mother Superior's side. However, as the years pass, Mary and Rachel slowly mature and begin to see the nuns in a different light. It is one of the most fantastic movies I've ever seen in my life. This is actually a movie that I've seen multiple times. My mom used to take quotes from this movie, and there's a quote, I can't remember the exact quote, but Haley Mills always says something to the effect of, like, I have a brilliant, scathing idea. And she always comes up with these, like, pranks and schemes that she's going to do. These brilliant ideas, right? And so it's about these 2 girls that go to this Catholic school, and Haley Mills is definitely the leader of the 2. And she's always coming up with these ideas to piss off the Mother Superior, played by Rosalind Russell. I think one of the reasons why I love this movie so much was that Rosalind Russell also played Annie Mame, and I love that movie. It's one of my favorite movies of life. I would also say this is probably one of my favorite movies of life. I mean, on like a top 20 or 30 list, this would be on there. And so it's about these 2 girls and their friendship together, and also their backgrounds of their families and things like that, especially Haley Mills, and what leads them to being at this boarding school / convent. And the end of this movie is probably, like, I'm going to start crying even thinking about it. It's probably one of the most powerful endings of any movie. Like, I can see it in my head, and I can see the exchange between the 2 friends at the very end of the movie. So if you've never seen this movie before, please do not sleep on this movie. It's fantastic. It very much could be, I mean, the language is a little... is it bad? I don't even remember. I mean, they smoke cigarettes in it and stuff like that. They're like hiding in the bathroom smoking cigarettes. It's about as bad as it is. It's pretty much a family movie. What is it rated? Does it even say what it's rated on here? It says it's rated PG, and it's an hour and 52 minutes. So if you've never seen it before, the movie for this week is The Trouble with Angels. There's actually a sequel to it. I've never seen the sequel before, and the sequel is on Tubi too. So I might watch the sequel when I watch this. I know the sequel isn't, I don't believe it's with Haley Mills, but, well, actually, let's just look it up and see, because I am not sure. The Trouble with Angels, 2, let's look it up, is called Where Angels Go, Trouble Follows. But it's not with, I don't think it's with Haley Mills, is it? No. It says it is with Rosalind Russell, Stella Stevens, Milton Berle, Arthur Godfrey, Van Johnson, and Robert Taylor. And I've never seen it, so I might watch that. But I think Hayley Mills is what really, and if you don't know who Hayley Mills is, she was in the original Parent Trap. I know, kids, it wasn't Lindsay Lohan. It was actually Hayley Mills that was in the original Parent Trap. If you've never seen the original Parent Trap with Hayley Mills, it's fantastic. So anyway, that's the movie for this week. I'm very, very excited. I'm having so much fun with this. At this point, let's see how many movies we've watched so far together. Okay, well, for those of you that are watching with me, we have watched, hold on a second, if you've watched all the movies, we've watched Night of the Comet, Welcome Home Roxy Carmichael, Wait Until Dark, Joyride, Jackie Brown, Waiting to Exhale, and How Stella Got Her Groove Back. So we have watched 7 movies together so far. I am excited to continue this. This has been so much fun to start. I'm having such a good time on this, and I'm loving watching these movies and kind of going down memory lane again. So anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.